And now we're joined by Divyansh, who is a national security expert and vice president at Beacon Global Strategy. Thank you so much for doing this Divyansh. Question for you. What can the world expect from Trump 2.0? I mean, you are a national security expert. There are two wars going on. What can we expect from Donald Trump?
I mean, you are already seeing that, in one of the wars, as a result of the president-elect coming in and the pressure that countries are seeing, we have a prospective deal that is coming together, right? And he's said very pointedly that he does not want war. He does not like suffering. He does not like war. He's a guy who likes deals. And that's what people should expect throughout in geopolitics. Aside from all of that, aside from the wars that are happening today, one thing people should expect is that his administration, even, you look back in the first term, the Trump administration just completely redefined the moment on how economic security is considered part of national security. They sanctioned Huawei, they sanctioned ZTE, and that China hawkishness will continue, even more so. The Biden administration has made dual use technology, semiconductors, AI, a critical cornerstone of their national security strategy. You should expect the Trump administration to continue that, even double down on it, control more technologies from going to China. I think China competition will be very critical because you look at all these appointments. Mike Waltz, big China hawk. Marco Rubio, big China hawk. Alex Wong as the principal deputy national security advisor, big China hawk. Like, you are seeing China focused people being placed in senior national security roles in the administration, and I think that is very critical to observe because that personnel is policy, and that is defining where the Trump administration will go in terms of national security and geopolitics. They will try to pull middle countries more towards the US, away from China, and they will work closer with partners and allies, including natural partners like India, where we can foster a tech cooperation and collaboration, building on both Trump 1.0 and Biden 1.0 initiatives to really deepen that collaboration as a counter to Chinese tech advances.
Okay, how does India play a role in Trump 2.0? India is seen as this strategic partner, where you've talked about semiconductors and you've talked about ISET and all those things all these years. How does India play into the global strategy that Trump will deploy when he comes to the office?
I think India will be a critical part of the equation here. People talk about how President Trump has relationships with all these world leaders. He has a very, very close relationship with Prime Minister Modi. And in fact, he will capitalize on that to build more deeper collaboration on critical technologies like AI and semiconductors. I think you see the Micron and other companies trying to build semiconductors in India. You will see more of that in terms of AI infrastructure. We want American companies to be building data centers all over the world in secure way. And I think a lot of them will be looking to India as a potential partner here. I think more space collaboration, more collaboration in biopharmaceutical manufacturing. In fact, writ large, you should see greater focus on supply chain diversification away from China, more towards India, Vietnam, and these countries that are playing in the democratic space, that are playing by the rules, by the global order that we've set, that abide by the global rules. Unlike China, which is an authoritarian regime trying to bully its way through the Indo-Pacific. And I think India is going to be a critical partner in both making sure that economic security is achieved, that supply chains are not disrupted as a result of the Chinese government taking some drastic military actions in the South China Sea or in the Indo-Pacific, and so that American technology as well as Indian technology is dispersed all around the world. It's deployed all around the world so that we're selling American technology and Indian technology and other technology from other partners and allies all around the world. And I think that will be very important.
Okay. One last question for you. It seems like there is a broad consensus on the Hill with the partnership to India. Do you think that will change? We've seen some of the market extremists come out, even asking some elected members of Congress to go back. I mean, do you think there could be a change in that at all on the Hill?
I think there is going to be a bipartisan recognition that India is a critical partner. That is not going to change. That has, in fact, the trajectory of US India relations has been on up and up and up ever since the civil nuclear deal was inked under President Bush and Prime Minister Singh. And in fact, even every administration that has come in, they've left the relationship with India in a better position than they found it.
Right.
And I think deeper collaboration on tech, on clean energy, on critical minerals, on space, bio, these are issues that the Trump administration will also be looking forward to working with India on.
Oh, one last question. Defense. There was a lot of talk about increasing defense ties with India, manufacturing, defense equipment in India. Do you think that was like an unfinished business that Trump would like to take forward?
I think it's a lot depends on where both sides find an agreement, right? India naturally does not work in the space of coalitions or allies, right? And so obviously the Trump administration would want India to purchase more defense equipment as well as it would like India to purchase more American goods generally
Right.
to reduce the trade deficits. Now India has the Make in India program, which is making sure that some of the equipment, some parts of the equipment are created in India, and I think they will have to find agreement where can they agree on co-production happening in India, which equipment is okay to for co-production in India, which is not, and whether India will be open to purchasing those things versus others. I think there's a lot of room for collaboration here.
Would the relationship go back to being a little more transactional versus how it was in the Biden administration?
We'll see. I think that's the general consensus right now that foreign policy may be more transactional. I don't think that. I think the Trump administration, the Biden administration, they both recognize that India is a critical piece of the puzzle on China policy. If you want to counter the rise of China and to counter China becoming a hegemony in Asia, you have to have a strong India. You have to have a strong India both militarily, economically, as an industrial power, as well as like deeper people-to-people ties. The Trump administration started this trend, in fact, of trying to bring more Indian students into the U.S. versus Chinese, and
Right.
the Biden administration continued that. And I think the second Trump administration will also further build on that. I think that the relationship with India is going to be very special, and I think both the administrations have done a really good job at laying a great foundation for that.
All right. Divyansh, thank you so much. He is the national security expert at the Beacon Global Strategies. As Trump 2.0 takes shape, we'll keep to bring the updates to you. This is Rohit Sharma for India Today.